And top of the morning to you, real country, or I guess I should say top of the afternoon. Happy St. Patrick's Day. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show on Q92.3. I'm Bob Furr, filling in on Tuesdays for Marc as he is pursuing a seat in the Georgia State Senate. Chastity, great to see you as always. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Great to see you, and happy St. Patrick's Day to you. I see you're wearing your green.
I see you're wearing green as well.
Absolutely.
Are you Irish? Do you have Irish?
Not that I know of. More Native American, but I claim Irish today.
Native American and Irish would be an interesting mix.
Okay, yeah.
Irish myself. So my great-grandfather, James Burt, was from Ireland, came over here between 1900 and 1913, and he jumped ship in New York.
Okay.
Later became a citizen, but that's why 25% of me is here,
Wow.
thanks to him.
I love that.
So listen, I'm excited about today's show.
Yes.
The theme today is people who impact the community. We've got Michelle Dickens, who's the executive director of SANE, which stands for Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners, and Garrett Smith, who's the chief of Morgan County Fire, a longtime supporter of that, and a part-time fashion model.
Ooh, fashion model. I see.
You heard that right. We'll talk about Chief's modeling in just a
Exciting.
moment. He's going to be in the upcoming What They Were Wearing fashion show, which is a fundraiser for the SANE organization. And Charlie is going to be the MC, right? She's the longest time MC
our
for
very
that
own
event.
Charlie is going to be our MC in the event. So she's had a lot of fun. She's done it several years now, I believe. So
And she sounds
Yeah.
like she's really involved in
I'm
that.
excited. Yep.
And then also on today, we've got Coach Cody Anderson and senior point guards Zeke Locus and Jacoby Simmons from the 2026 AA State Championship Morgan County High School basketball team. They'll be in the house later.
Awesome. Congratulations to them.
So, hey, listen, real quick before we get to that, Chastity, you like antiques?
Of course.
Do you like fine things?
I love vintage.
Well, then you want to be in Madison this weekend at the Cultural Center on Main Street for Madison Antiques and Fine Things. They've got a reception on Thursday. It's from 6 to 9. That's for benefactor sponsors and ticket holders. And then Friday and Saturday from 10 to 5. That's the show itself. They're going to have about 24 exhibitors where you can view and purchase antiques, silver, artwork, interior design pieces, fine things. And then throughout the day, they're also going to be having a great line of speakers and authors talking about different themes around home and interior design, antiques, other fine things, and they're going to be doing book signings. So it's a really great event. I think it's in its 14th year. If anybody's interested, we'd love to have you in Madison this weekend. For more info and for tickets, you can go to MadisonAntiquesAndFineThings.com. That's MadisonAntiquesAndFineThings.com. So let's go from fine things to fine people. As I mentioned, we got Michelle and Garrett here. I guess before we get started, guys, just give us a little bit about who you are, what's your background, and how did you get involved with SANE?
Go ahead, Michelle. Why don't you lead us off?
So I've been the director of the Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners Program since 2016. Before that, I worked for 11 years in a district attorney's office where I did victim assistance for special victims cases and homicide cases. And so that's how I really got involved. Our longtime director of the SANE program decided that she wanted to retire as the administrator, and I showed an interest and ended up being appointed as the director.
Awesome. Chief, how about you?
So I am in my 29th year as a firefighter. I retired after almost 27 years with DeKalb County, taking the job as fire chief here in Morgan County. Been here a little over 2.5 years now. And the current Morgan County office that SANE operates out of is one of our former fire stations. And so we will be opening that fire station back up as a fire station serving Morgan County as well as our training center. And it was working with Michelle to get that accomplished, to get their new location planned out and moved out, and us trying to plan the new fire station and training center that got me involved in this.
Awesome. Well, I guess get us educated here. Tell us what a sexual assault nurse examiner is, what the SANE organization is, and what it does. Bring us up to speed on all of that.
Yeah, so our organization has been in the community since 1995. We started over in Clark and Oconee counties. In 1995, there were some serial rape cases that were being investigated over in the Western Judicial Circuit that stakeholders in the community thought could be prosecuted and investigated more effectively if there was a forensic medical component like they had out in the Midwest, and hence the advent of SANE nurses in the Western Judicial Circuit. 2 volunteer nurses came together with the district attorney's office, the police department, the local hospitals, and the local sexual assault center, and they started pursuing training and then providing training to other SANE nurses so that sexual assault examinations could be conducted. Our longtime administrator, Linda Penholster, has probably trained as many nurses throughout the state of Georgia as she has probably conducted sexual assault exams.
So I'm going to dig into this a little bit. I'm going to borrow from, there's an HBO series called The Pit, and it focuses on the lives of people who work in a Pittsburgh hospital. I don't watch it. I was firefighter paramedic. Those shows are a little bit too real for me, and they kind of bring back some bad memories. But I was told about this, and I was told I had to watch an episode where the lead character, a nurse named Dana Evans, operates as a SANE nurse. I know you're familiar with it. First question, is that accurate? How did they do a job portraying the role of a SANE nurse?
Probably one of the most accurate depictions on a series currently right now. I know that there are a few Netflix series that try or have tried to depict sort of our response to sexual assault, but this episode of The Pit, according to my nurses, is one of the most accurate portrayals of sort of what goes down when a patient goes to an ER or a community-based center for an examination.
Well, I'm going to go a little bit more with that. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show on Real Country 92.3 FM. Bob Furr filling in for Mark. We're talking with Michelle Dixon, Executive Director of SANE, and Chief Garrett of the Morgan County Fire Department. And we're talking about SANE nurses and the upcoming What They Were Wearing fashion show. So the first thing that struck me in the scene that I watched was the change in the nurse's persona. So this character, Dana Evans, she is a hard-charging, matter-of-fact, to the point, maybe even abrasive character on the show. And on the way to the victim, she's kind of explaining what a SANE nurse does and how we need more of them and all that. She walks into the examination room and took on a completely different persona. She became calming, gentle, soft-spoken. Talk to us a little bit about what we were seeing portrayed there.
Well, I think that we were seeing a nurse that's probably geared towards addressing a variety of traumas in an ER setting. And when she walks into that room, she's responding bedside to someone's individual trauma. She softens. She understands not only the physical impact, but also the neurobiological impact. And the reaction that you see is because of what she knows about how it can affect a person. She is trying to give control back to the survivor by setting the tone with that examination. And so that's what you see when she softens and responds to her.
And so, perfect segue with the control piece. The exam starts, and almost immediately the victim wants to stop. And she starts with excusing the assault, right? He was drunk, it didn't mean anything. And then you can kind of see a recognition in her face. She's like, we're friends, we're all friends. And it was like she was processing the act and excusing it, and also seeing that it was going to have an impact on their friend group, and almost like she was thinking like it was wrong for her to move forward with this. I understand that to be a fairly common reaction among sexual assault survivors. Tell us a little bit about that and how a SANE nurse helps somebody get through it.
Right. Well, first of all, while there's no typical response to a sexual assault, that is a common thing that we see where people are trying to rationalize or still processing their assault when they come in for their examination. I think it's important to note that 84% of the time the victim actually knows their assailant. And so when you ask me, is it common for somebody to think about what the social impact is going to be of reporting the sexual assault? It's quite common. In fact, it's the majority of the time.
84%. I mean, that is that's a staggering number to me to hear that. So let's go back to that episode real quick. And, it really kind of illustrated another importance, and I know you have a lot to kind of clarify here, like that was a television show and it was in Pittsburgh and things are different here in Georgia. But one of the things that happens is after the exam, she takes what they call the rape kit and she puts it into a locked refrigerator. And she's explaining, that the police within 72 hours, need to pick it up. And when she opens it, there's a previous kit from an exam that's been there for 2 weeks, and she loses her marbles. She goes back to that original persona, says words that the FCC will not allow me to say on the show. My understanding is there's a lot of things that get in the way of bringing sexual assault criminals to justice. You mentioned the SANE nurse has really two roles, right? Talk to us about those two roles and how SANE nurses help bring about justice, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Sure. So a forensic medical exam has two purposes. The first purpose is to meet the medical needs of the survivor. So first and foremost, we're going to meet the physical needs. We're going to ensure safety, ensure physical well-being, and then we're going to ensure that evidentiary needs for the criminal justice system are met. So those are the two pieces that we have there. When we're collecting a sexual assault kit or other evidence from their body, maybe that's clothing, maybe that's blood or urine, there are standards in the state of Georgia for us to get that to the crime lab. Law enforcement has 96 hours to pick it up here in Georgia and 30 days to get it to the crime lab. A few years ago, you may be familiar with some AJC articles that speak very specifically to the backlog of sexual assault kits, very much like on that episode of The Pit that you saw. We don't have as many cases in backlog. In fact, a few years ago, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council rounded up all of the untested rape kits in the state of Georgia, sent those to 2 independent labs to be able to be tested. And now, with the same money that they tested those backlog of kits, they were able to create a sexual assault kit specifically for the state of Georgia that has a barcode on it. And we know where those kits are at all times, so we know that they make it to the crime lab. So we're removing barriers with the system that are already embedded in the system, like kits not being tested. We're also removing barriers like what are the social impacts going to be. And then we're also removing barriers that the public may have, like victim blaming or questions that we may have of a victim that make us feel better about ourselves or a little bit safer.
And that victim blaming, we're going to get to this after the break, is the what you were wearing fashion show. That victim blaming kind of ties to the theme of that as well. You talked about, Jason, I think it was you mentioned before we went on the air about the importance of the chain of custody of the evidence and such like that. Do one of you want to talk about, what that looks like and how important it is? I know you're not either one of you law enforcement, but
excuse me, I'm not law enforcement, but my wife does work for Randy McGinley, who's the district attorney for Walton County, and my son's also a police officer in the city of Monroe. And so, the court case, even though as first responders often we'll find ourselves in situations that are going to go beyond the call when we leave and go back in service. And so it's important to remember that it takes people in specialized training to be able to handle what they call the chain of custody as far as evidence goes, for that to be admissible in court. If they can prove that that chain of custody was not there or it was not properly handled, then there's not going to be much of a case beyond that, because the defense, that's what they're there for, is to defend that process that has to happen in the judicial system.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing this great information. We'll be back in just a minute. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show on 92.3. Bob Furr filling in for Mark. We're having a tough but important conversation about sexual assault nurse examiners with the Executive Director of SANE, Michelle Dickens, and the Chief of Morgan County Fire, Garrett Smith. We're going to pay some bills with a few words from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Recently, I was on a flight writing on a legal pad, and the man next to me struck up a conversation. "Are you an author?" he asked. I said, "No, I'm actually a preacher." Well, the look on his face was priceless. How would you feel if you're stuck sitting next to a preacher for several hours? Surprisingly, though, we had a good conversation. He asked me several questions about Jesus, and I told him that the Bible says if Jesus didn't rise from the dead, Christianity is worthless. Ever thought about that? You see, the truthfulness of Christianity hinges on whether Jesus died and rose from the grave. There's great evidence for it, and I'm one of the billions of Christians around the globe who believes that the resurrection really happened. If Jesus did conquer death, then he's worthy of your trust. If he didn't, reject him because he's a fraud. I believe he really conquered death. What do you believe? This is Brian Wright, speaking right from my heart.
For devotions, visit rightfromtheheart.org.
Anytime is a great time to make memories of the Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary in Lilburn. Close to home and fun for the entire family. Not only will you see wildlife up close, like bears, otters, bison, and more, you can enjoy a picnic lunch. There's gem mining and so much more. The Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary, 4525 Highway 78 in Lilburn. Make plans to visit soon. To learn more, go to yellowriverwildlifesanctuary.com.
Have you been putting off auto repairs? Do you want a body shop you know and trust? go see AutoCorrect Collision. AutoCorrect is a family-owned and operated collision center with over 45 years of experience. Their equipment and training exceed industry standards. No repair is too big or small. Ask about the special drawings and mention this ad for a discount. Visit AutoCorrect Collision at 409 Mayfield Drive or call them at 770-207-1241.
If you're looking for a caring dental office that can handle all of your dental needs, look no further. Georgia Dental Studio provides routine and emergency exams. Whether your smile needs a gentle exam, a full mouth restoration, or anything in between, they promise to provide you with exceptional care. They do extractions, root canals, crowns, implants, IV sedation, veneers, and much more. Call 770-464-3626. Georgia Dental Studio, 150 Main Street in Jersey, just a short drive from Monroe, Social Circle, Covington, Bogart, and Oxford. The Madison Trolley Company is Morgan County's newest 5-star attraction. We offer historic Madison tours year-round, a haunted history experience in the fall, and our Madison Lights Christmas Tour and Mary Maddie Express Adventure for kids have become new holiday traditions. Our private charters add vintage charm to weddings and special occasions abroad. A historic trolley by day, party trolley by night. Find us on the Madison Town Square or get on board by visiting madisontrolley.com or calling us at 706-997-1800.
Welcome back, Real Country. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Bob Furr, Chastity Davis here, filling in for Mark while he is campaigning for the state Senate. We're talking to Michelle Dixon, the head Dickens. I knew I was going to get it wrong. I promised you that I would make that mistake. Michelle Dickens, who's head of SANE, which stands for Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners. And also with us is Garrett Smith, the chief of Morgan County Fire, a big supporter of that. Before the break, Michelle, you made a comment about control, and going back to that episode on the pit, I remember that. Like, you could just tell that that young woman was just feeling a total loss of control, and I noticed that all the medical staff, the SANE nurse working with her, do it, hey, we can stop now, you tell us when, like doing everything. Let's talk a little bit about that. I remember she specifically had a line, this does not define you. Talk a little bit about giving control back to sexual assault victims.
Well, I think the first thing to acknowledge is that a sexual assault is about power and control. It's not really about sex. And so that power has been taken by the perpetrator away from the victim. And so when we respond, the first thing that we try to do is give as much control and as many choices back to the survivor as possible. On the pit, I think they're in an actual ER setting. All of our exams, our examination rooms are actually in a community-based center. We will respond to hospitals, but regardless of where we're responding, we're starting with temperature, lighting, where would you like to sit. Even the most basic choices are going to hit the reset button and give control back to the survivor. We're also offering a number of options. An exam is not one size fits all. We offer all options to the survivor, and what we always say is the most basic form of care is to be able to care for somebody the way that you would want to be cared for. A higher level of that is to care for them the way that they want to be cared for. And sometimes that's a little bit harder, because sometimes that means we give a survivor choices and they don't choose all the things that we would choose. But we want to make sure that they're consenting every step of the way, from their head to toe examination to photographs that may be taken from their body, to whether or not we turn the evidence over to law enforcement or whether we just hold on to it until they can make a better decision. So
right from the start, what a great point, that right from the start, the SANE nurses are putting the victim back in control of their lives right out of the gate. That's a great observation. All right, one last thing about this. The scene ends with the tough, hard as nails Nurse Evans finishing everything, finding a quiet room by herself, and just breaking down crying. Who helps keep the SANE nurses sane, right? That's got to be really hard to deal with. Yeah, absolutely. One of the first questions I ask when I'm interviewing a nurse is, what does self-care look like for you? So we try to make sure that that's embedded before they come to us, and then we try to supplement that with peer support or with therapeutic services if it's something that they request. But having a good network across the state is also very helpful. You mentioned that you're a firefighter. We have Chief Smith here. We try to have peer support the same way you guys have it in dealing with other forms of trauma. Awesome. Well, listen, one of the things that comes out of dark places is bright lights sometimes. And the SANE organization, SANE nurses, all the people around it supporting it, certainly example of bright lights having the kind of impact in the community. That brings us to you, Chief Smith. We're together today because you reached out through our Madison Trolley website. And I chuckled a little bit because his message to me was, this is, Chief Smith of the Morgan County Fire Department. Can you please give me a call? It's not an emergency. And I'm like, well, that's good because Matty, our trolley, is not really that fast. And so I'm like, well, what's this going to be about? What's he looking for? Of all the things that I might have been speculating the chief of the Morgan County Fire Department was calling me about, him being a model in a fashion show was not among the possibilities that I was considering. So tell us a little bit about what they're wearing, how it got started. Michelle, feel free to chime in. What has it accomplished so far, and how did you get involved, not just as a supporter, but as a fashion model?
So let me lead with apologizing for the message. I've learned to lead with that because sometimes you get phone calls back really quick, and it's hard to reason with them when they're worried about something going on.
Well, you sent it to the right guy. I knew right where you were coming from.
Right. So the what they were wearing fashion show, the name stems from, that was a common question that was asked if you go back historically when these cases would go to court, insinuating that the victim somehow had something to do with what happened to them based on what they were wearing. I'll let Michelle talk more about how her piece in this came about and how her vision for it grew. As far as what it's accomplished, again, this is only my first time participating in this. I got involved because she asked me to become involved based on our facility and her having to move. But it is, Morgan County offers a facility for them to operate out of. Beyond that, maybe some ancillary things that they help them with. They don't get any funding from the county in terms of operating their operation. There is some state funding that's provided, but these fundraisers, they're a 501(c)(3) organization, and these fundraisers are how they provide the services that they provide to the victims. And then I think it's important to point out also that Michelle just mentioned in the last line of questions, the peer support that is there for the folks that perform these examinations. Obviously, these are probably some of the toughest examinations that they ever see, not only having to cope with the physical aspects of it and the emotional aspects of it, but when you continuously see something like that over and over and over again, it probably bears on you pretty hard. So having the ability to provide that peer support that enables them to continue doing what they're doing and helping those victims is obviously a very crucial part of that, and they raise most of this funding themselves.
There's the victim in a sexual assault case, but there's a lot of collateral damage, right? There's a lot of people around that victim, and your point about I loved the phrase "what they were wearing." I love that title. It's so important because it's not bad enough you've been the victim of a crime, a sexual assault, but now they're going to turn around and try to make it your fault and have to go through that, and the courage that it must take. It's predominantly women, let's face it, 90+% are committed by men. To have to face the courage to go to court, that's really something. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Bob Furr filling in for Mark. We're talking about SANE nurses, sexual assault nurse examiners, with Michelle Dickens, the executive director of SANE, and Chief Garrett Smith. So let's talk about some things you've got coming up here to support SANE and raise funds and for training and that sort of thing. I guess first up, this Thursday, March 19th in Madison at Ricardo's Cucina. There's an event. It's a dinner. Tell us a little bit about it. What time is it, and how can people support it, and what's that all about?
So one of the things that we are able to do is we partner up with some of our local business owners, and Ricardo was gracious enough to lend us a night. It's called a percentage night, where they will donate a percentage of their sales for the folks that they bring in. And then we'll also have some of the reason I reached out to you, we'll have some tickets available for our Madison weekend getaway that we can also contribute your name into the pot, if you will, for a donation that weekend. And first, let me just thank all the business owners in Madison that are contributing to this, including this guy named Bob who asked us to come here today. But it's a giveaway, 2 nights at the James Madison Inn, 1 night at the Georgia Conservation Safari Park, and a tour, a couples massage at Just Breathe Day Spa. Mad Hospitality was gracious enough to give us $350 gift card. Of course, that covers the Sinclair, Harder Crown, Patisserie, and Betty Jean's. The Madison Trolley Company with a historic tour of homes. Brookshire Barbecue is offering a gift card for lunch. And a last-minute addition to it was Hard Labor Creek State Park is giving us 2 rounds of golf to use at Hard Labor Creek State Park. So certainly not all that Madison has to offer and Morgan County, but a lot of it that would make an absolutely awesome getaway weekend. Or if you're local, you can spread it out over the course of the year. All of these gift cards are good they're not good just for one weekend. They are good for an entire year.
Maybe not everything that Madison Morgan County has to offer, but pretty close. I mean, just that night at the Safari Park, I got to do that. That's an incredible experience. So that's this Thursday, the 19th at Ricardo's. What time does that start? How do they just show up? Do they need reservations?
5:30 to 8:30, and I am going to stop by Ricardo's. I was going to wait till their lunch rush was over and just reconfirm everything, because I do want to ask him if he would prefer people make a reservation. I'm sure that would help them out. He indicated that they did not have to because the new lower level dining room is supposed to be ready to go. So we'll see, and that'd be another added benefit too, to get to see the lower dining room. I got to see it when we were doing a little walkthrough, and it's absolutely beautiful. So really gracious to him for allowing us to do that, and can't thank all of the folks in Madison Morgan County enough.
Yeah, and that, I saw that dining room is open, and I will just tell you right now, Ricardo's home of the world's greatest pork chop. So just, if you haven't eaten there, go there for that pork chop.
It is mighty fine.
So now let's go to the What They Were Wearing event. That's Thursday, March 26th, so a week from this coming Thursday. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's at the South Main Brewing Company in Watkinsville. What are the times on that?
So if you're a VIP, you're going to arrive at 6 p.m.
Okay.
That'll get you in for a cocktail party with music from Chris Mobley and dress rehearsal with our celebrity models who are competing to win top model.
Okay.
And then if you're general admission, the show starts at 7 p.m.
And so walk us through the night. Just what does it look like? What's happening? Just walk us through the night, because it sounds really, I like just the thought of the Morgan County Fire Chief and the Morgan County Sheriff compete. There's a thing between firefighters and police. The chief and the two chiefs and the sheriff competing in a fashion show against each other. I mean, that's worth the price of admission right there. Tell us about the night.
Well, this is my first time, so I don't really know exactly what to expect, but obviously one of the things just got spilled there, that there's a little dress rehearsal vote for top model, so I guess I got to plan for something. We'll see. But, yeah, it is myself, Sheriff Harrison in Greene County, Sheriff Smith in Barrow County, Sheriff Hooks here in Morgan County, Sheriff Hale in Oconee County, District Attorney Randy McGinley, a few other public figures that work in local government, and then also some physicians and nurses, just folks that are giving of their time. We thought we were just going to have to show up and look pretty, but obviously there was a little bit more legwork involved in it. But it's been a great experience. I'm excited for the fashion show on Thursday, and hopefully we were able to really knock it out of the park for Michelle and her folks.
Now, sometimes you'll see, when two sports teams are in a competition, the mayors will place a little wager. Is there any kind of wager between you and Sheriff Hooks about who finishes?
We don't have any wagers going on between us. Look, I'm outnumbered significantly, but I'd say Sheriff Hale is obviously the one to beat, and he's pretty open about it. So. But he's done very well. So.
I looked this morning, though, and Sheriff Hale's getting beat by about $3,000. So, but if you want to vote for any of the models, you can go to our website at saintinc.org, click on events, and you can see our landing page where you can vote for your favorite model.
Say that again for me, the website.
saintinc.org.
So SANEINC.org. And that's where you can get more information and find things out and all that sort of thing.
Yep. If you click on events, it'll take you to that page.
So, Chief, I remember from my time in the fire service, it's kind of a brotherhood, and sometimes your brothers can be pretty hard on you. What's it been like around the fire station when they found out you're now a supermodel?
So, as I mentioned, not only my close acquaintances in the fire service for nearly 30 years, but my son, who's a police officer in Monroe, and I'm very familiar with a lot of the Monroe Fire Department folks, and I've put some things out on social media that I never would have thought I would have put out before. Usually, I'll be the first to admit it. I'm kind of the scroller kind of person, and I've had to be very, very diligent and intentional about making posts on social media. So, nothing too bad. Obviously, it's a fashion show, so. A lot of questions were asked. What are you doing participating in a fashion show? And that's a good question. I'm just trying to help out where I can. And again, I've met some great people It's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And maybe if I don't mess this up too bad, I'll get asked to do it again.
Well, what a great and important cause. So, folks, 2 ways out there in real country for you to support it. This Thursday night, March 19th, 5:30 to 8:30 at Ricardo's Casino. It's right off Town Park there in Madison, home of the world's greatest pork chop. Go there, get a chance to enter that awesome prize package that you put together. And then a week later, Thursday, March 26th at 6 p.m., at the South Main Brewing Company, right, in Watkinsville, the What They Were Wearing event. Chief Smith, thank you so much for being here. Michelle, thank you for being here. Great cause, great work. We appreciate you sharing it with the community and the impact you're having on the community. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Bob Furr filling in for Marc on Q92.3. When we come back after a short commercial break, we will have Coach Cody Anderson and senior point guard Zeke Locus and Jacoby Simmons of the AA State Championship Morgan County High basketball team in the house.
You ever roll out of bed and feel like you lost a fight with a tractor? If your back's barking, your neck's complaining, and your knees pop louder than a box of cereal, it might be time for the Joint Chiropractic. There are no appointments, no insurance mess, and no sitting around all day. You just walk in, get adjusted, and head back out feeling human again. Now serving Covington and Monroe, whether you've been hauling, hunting, working, or just sleeping funny, the Joint Chiropractic keeps you moving smooth and feeling right. The Joint Chiropractic, because snap, crackle, and pop belong in your cereal and not your spine.
From camp gear to decoys to work tools, a Kubota Sidekick can help carry the load no matter the task at hand. Stop by a dealer today and check out this versatile UTV. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down 2.99% APR for up to 36 months. Now through March 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Your local Kubota dealer is Hayes Tractor, located at 545 Highway 11 in Social Circle. Online at HayesTractor.com.
Have you been putting off auto repairs? Do you want a body shop you know and trust? Go see Auto Correct Collision. Auto Correct is a family-owned and operated collision center with over 45 years of experience. Their equipment and training exceed industry standards. No repair is too big or small. Ask about the special drawings and mention this ad for a discount. Visit Auto Correct Collision at 409 Mayfield Drive or call them at 770-207-1241.
When it comes to tasty treats, the only place you need is Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Enjoy fresh, high-quality Georgia pecans along with a huge selection of your favorite nuts like almonds, cashews, walnuts, pistachios, and Brazilian nuts, plus delicious mixes, dried fruits, candies, and Southern Pecan coffee. Stone Mountain Pecan has it all, and the best part, it's all online at StoneMountainPecan.com or visit our country store on Highway 78 in Monroe. Stone Mountain Pecan Company, something for everyone. Eat well, be happy.
Hey, this is Doug.
And this is Robbie.
We own and operate Foy Tree Service.
When you need tree cutting, stump grinding, lot clearing, mulching, firewood, and more, call Foy Tree Service.
Serving Morgan County and surrounding area since 1987.
With top quality service and fair prices, we take pride in our work, and we do everything to make sure that you are a happy customer.
That's Foy Tree Service. Call us at 706-342-8733.
That's 706-342-TREE.
Covington Ford has something for everyone, from the power and comfort of a brand new F-150 to the family-friendly Explorer or the trail-ready Bronco. Covington Ford wants to be your #1 local Ford dealer by offering no haggle, below invoice pricing, and interest rates as low as 0% for 60 months. We believe your adventure should be limitless, not your coverage, so we're giving you a lifetime powertrain warranty on nearly all new Ford inventory. Come check us out in person or visit us online at CovingtonFord.net. Your next journey starts at Covington Ford.
Welcome back, Real Country. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show on Q92.3. Bob Furr filling in for Marc on Tuesday. So, Chastity, last week it was hockey. I think we got you hooked.
Hey.
How do you feel about...
We got some celebrities in the house.
We do. How do you feel about basketball? You a basketball fan?
Love basketball. I coach basketball.
Nice. You did the Special Olympics, you said, right? Yeah, awesome. What a great thing. Well, you are right. In studio, we have the Morgan County High School AA Georgia State Championship boys basketball team. Woohoo! We got Coach Cody Anderson, senior point guards Jacoby Simmons, and Zeke Locus. Coach Jacoby, Zeke, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So, how was your weekend?
It was good. It was good.
everywhere I went, I just felt like a celebrity. The community showed love everywhere.
How about you, Coach?
Just grateful. These guys deserve this, and Morgan County is a special place. Coaching, playing in a community high school has unique perks to it, especially when you win. And these guys have certainly felt the love, and like I said, just grateful.
So let's go back to the start of the season, right? I'm going to take you back, and correct me if I'm wrong. You started out by dropping your first 2 games right out of the gate, and 10 games in, you're at 500. And then on the end of December 29th, you had a loss, and so now the year's coming to an end. You're sitting at 7-6. Where did you think your season was going at that point?
Honestly, to answer that, I've got to go way back. When last year ended, we knew we had a talented roster coming back. At the time, the way high school scheduling goes, we're behind in scheduling next year's schedule already, as wild as that sounds. And so we didn't project to have really any football players at the time. And so we went out to schedule the most difficult non-league schedule that we could make. And our staff did a really good job putting that together. Fast forward a couple months, and these two to my right decide they're going to play football. We had a couple other things that took some guys away to start the year. And so I knew the beginning of the season would be a challenge, but it was also an opportunity. And so even though we didn't have the wins losses that we wanted in that early part of the year, we had freshmen, sophomore, juniors that got invaluable experience. And then mid-December is when football ended, and Jacoby and Zeke came back, and that was an immediate boost. And then December 19th, I think it was, is when Kobe Jeffries came back. And so even though the record was what it was, I think since we've had everyone, we're a lot in 2. And so honestly, I'm not going to say I predicted a state championship, but I knew our team was going to be just fine.
So Jacoby and Zeke, you guys are playing football, right? And you're going to be on the basketball team, and you're watching this. What's that like, right? How do you balance between, I got my mind on football, I'm on the field, but I know I'm going to this basketball team that needs me? And tell me a little bit what that was like.
Just coming back, just watching them, I was a little iffy at first about if we was going to be good. Just watching them from the stands was different because I never been in the stands before, so it was just different. And I got back the day after football ended, I was so out of shape, and it was painful.
Wait, you got back from football and you were out of shape?
Yes, it's 2 different conditionings. Between plays in football, you get breaks, but basketball is different. You have to be in shape until a timeout is called or something ends.
And Jacoby, how about you? What was going through your head?
It's the same way for real. Football really it's a different conditioning, like Zeke said. Watching them, we was I don't know if we're gonna be good or not, but I know when me and Zeke came back, we're gonna turn the team around.
A little confidence there. Sure. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show on Q92.3. Bob Furr filling in for Mark, talking with Coach Cody Anderson and senior point guard Zeke Lucas and Jacoby Simmons of the 2026 AA State Championship Morgan County basketball team. Guys, when do you think you're going to get sick of hearing that?
Never.
I was about to say, I think for the rest of our lives, especially for these two, with their careers being done, state champions will be right by their name forever.
So, Coach, I learned about a conversation that you apparently had with a parent, and I absolutely love this. I think it happened about this point in the season. I'm not sure, but I think it happened about this point in the season. And apparently you asked this parent, do you think these guys know how good they can be? Tell us what was behind that question and where you were going with it.
Yeah, I think no different than, when I was growing up and my dad saw things that I didn't see because of the nature of where I was in my stage and age of life. There are things that as a coach, as you gain more experience and you do this more times, you just get to see the bigger picture. And these guys are playing for their first and only time in their career, and I've gotten the chance to coach many, many different guys in that stage of their career. And so this group has very talented pieces, but the I guess addition, the puzzle itself when it was put together is pretty special. And they defend at a high level, and defense travels in the high school game. Defense a lot of times is the the byproduct of what happens on the offensive end. Well, for us, we wanted to start on the defensive end, and
defense wins championships.
Absolutely. And when teams can't score, they usually don't defend. When teams can't score, you typically get out in transition. And so, we were hitting a point where, Zeke and Jacoby are back, Kobai's back. Those guys that were getting that invaluable experience early in the year are now getting to settle into roles that maybe are more comfortable, not quite as big, which gives everybody the opportunity to be at their best. And so we hadn't really rounded out into form just yet, but I saw enough to know where they could go. And but I don't know, and I'd actually be interested to hear their answers on air here. Like, when did you believe that we could win a state championship? Because one of the things with Zeke and Jalen Elder have this really odd love relationship. They're great friends, but Zeke would always say, I think last year's team was better than this year's team. And I always said, what, Zeke?
This year's team is way better than last year's team.
And so we would have these conversations daily. And so I believed it pretty early on, but I am curious, these two, when you guys actually felt like, we could get this done.
We played not a big strength of schedule, but when we won the Sweet 16 game, I realized we got a chance of actually winning the state championship, because last year we had distractions, things like that. So when we won, I was just like, we have a chance. Looking at everybody in two-way, just seeing that it's not nobody who's an outlier. Who's just better than us. So we just played every possession like it was our last, and I knew that we could actually be something in Morgan County history.
With me, I think it was between Sweet 16 game when we got rid of the players that we had distractions from. After that, the little incident, whatever happened, I felt like we could win then.
I feel like there's a little bit of a, the last team's better than this, got a senior here, leader, veteran on the team. That sounds like a little bit of a veteran maybe finding some inspiration in a statement. Is that what you were doing there, Zeke?
We just had different connections. Me and Jalen, we were just different levels. Fast break, I would miss a layup by accident, and Jalen just come dunk, and the energy that he brought whenever it happened, it was just incredible.
Well, and I will say we're talking about two teams that combined are like 50 and 10, so I'd say both teams were pretty good. But I do think at this point you can concede to the fact that this year's team's probably better than last year's team.
Maybe.
Well, we're going to take a break in a second. Before we do, though, let's take a quick rundown of what happened next, right? So you lose that game on December 29th, but you come back the next night at home and win against Calvary Christian. After that, you win 14 straight games. Now, a typical high school basketball team scores 50 to 60 points. In those 14 games, you held 12 of those teams under 50 points. 80 points is considered high scoring in a basketball game. You scored 70-plus points in 8 of 14 games. In one game, you scored 92 points. That's an NBA score right there. You outscored opponents 928 to 535. You won 2 games by more than 40 points. Average margin of victory, 28 points. No one got closer than 18 points. Something clearly happened. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about what that was and what came together. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. We are in here with the AA Georgia State Championship Morgan County High School basketball team, Coach Cody Anderson, Zeke Locus, and Jacoby Simmons, senior point guards. We'll be right back after we pay some bills.
The Madison Trolley Company is Morgan County's newest 5-star attraction. We offer historic Madison tours year-round, a haunted history experience in the fall, and our Madison Lights Christmas Tour and Mary Maddie Express Adventure for kids have become new holiday traditions. Our private charters add vintage charm to weddings and special occasions abroad. A historic trolley by day, party trolley by night. Find us on the Madison Town Square or get on board by visiting MadisonTrolley.com or calling us at 706-997-1800.
It's official. President Trump has endorsed Burt Jones for governor.
Burt Jones has been an incredible leader, This man has my complete and total endorsement, and I really want to see him win.
Burt Jones is a trusted Trump conservative who's leading the fight to end Georgia's state income tax.
He's going to make a great, great governor. You will be very happy, Georgia. Burt Jones has my complete and total endorsement.
Paid for by Burt Jones for Georgia.
Cassie Enterprises invites you to stop in and see their new line of Coyote brand tractors, UTVs, and Bad Boy zero-turn mowers. Coyote tractors have the power to handle any job. Working on the farm, landscape business, and more, Coyote tractors are dependable and ready to work for you. Sales, service, parts, and more. It's all available at Cassie Enterprises. Family owned and operated. 145 Highway 83 in Good Hope. Go to CassieTractor.com.
If you're in the construction business, you're going to need a dumpster at some point in time, and that's why you need to call Atha Equipment Rental in Monroe, now offering 20 and 30-yard cans. Atha Equipment Rental now offers a complete line of landscape and construction equipment like tools, trenchers, floor sanders, jackhammers, and so much more, like rentals for your parties with tables, chairs, popcorn machines, Dunkin' booths, and more. Call Jason Atha at 770-207-6041. That's Atha Equipment Rental on East Spring Street in Monroe.
Climb aboard a Madison Trolley Company Lobsters Roll to Aikens Ford Arena and get in on the action with the new Athens Rock Lobsters professional hockey team. Discount ticket and transportation packages start at just $50, and round-trip transportation is just $30. You can join one of our existing rolls, or we can build a roll around your group. Madison Trolley Company lobster rolls are great for birthdays, special occasions, corporate outings, or just plain fun. Get rolling with us by calling 706-997-1800.
Roll-Off Systems of Statham, they're on a roll. They offer dumpsters in all sizes, trash compactors, porta potties, and new combo cans. Existing sites are new building sites. Trash and waste disposal, it's their business. Locally owned and operated. Call Roll-Off Systems today. 770-725-ROLL. That's 770-725-ROLL. Or go to rolloffsystems.com.
Serving Loganville and the surrounding area for over 25 years, it's the Main Street Barbershop, 305 Main Street next to Braxton's Auction in downtown Loganville, offering old-fashioned service and modern-day styles. Appointments available and walk-ins welcome. Open Tuesday through Saturday with a friendly staff and atmosphere. That's Main Street Barbershop in downtown Loganville. Call 770-554-3300 or go to mainstreetbarberloganville.com to learn more.
Welcome back, Real Country. You're listening to a St. Patrick's Day edition of the Marc McMain Show with Bob Furr. We are talking with Coach Cody Anderson, senior point guards Jacoby Simmons and Zeke Locus of the 2026 AA Georgia State champion Morgan County basketball team. I'm just going to keep saying that because I like seeing the looks on your faces when I do. So when we went to break, we talked about, you guys just turned it around, ran off a very impressive run. Often when that happens with a team, there's a moment or something that happens, and having coached hockey, I know that sometimes the coach's version of that moment is different than the player's version of that moment. So I want to ask each one of the three of you, was there a defining moment for you, for the team? What was your perception? Let's start with you, Coach.
And they're going to roll their eyes because it's very cliche, but 4 years ago, my wife and I were up in Virginia, and we had accepted the job, and we Zoomed with the existing players at the time, and these two were in that room. And from that moment up until now, we have worked tirelessly for 4 years. And I don't know that I can say one exact moment, but the fact that these two are still sitting here, the fact that these two didn't leave and they could have left, the fact that these two didn't quit and they could have quit, but they stayed the course and they trusted and they believed. And as the 4 years have gone on, these two will go down as two guys that have laid one of the biggest turnarounds to get our program back to where it is now. But I think just that gradual belief, the daily work, and then at the end of the day, those numbers, I appreciate you laying them out because that's defense. And it's really hard to get high school young people to embrace defense because this is the age and stage of score, 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 score. We have a saying in our program that if the other team can't score, they won't win. And there was a lot of times where the other team couldn't score, and They didn't win.
I'm laughing because I had a high school football coach named Larry Scala, and he would be like, if they can't score, we can't lose.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Now, how about from the player side, guys? What was your perspective as you watched this kind of turnaround happening?
I feel like when we had this turnaround, it was like the beginning of the season. We was in the locker room and everybody telling we gotta lock in. Everybody on defense. That's where it started from in our program. So,
Ziggy?
When I realized that everybody actually plays, like throughout the region, there was a lot of blowouts. So a lot of underclassmen got to play, and just being on a bench celebrating them, it was so much fun. Like the crowd got involved still. Players would actually celebrate like, this never happened. But every game, just cheering on the underclassmen, it was just incredible just watching them play. Because 2 years ago, underclassmen wouldn't play at all. Because every game was close or we lost a few games, stuff like that. But just having them, just watching them play is another level.
And you guys are seniors, right? So this was, but you're going to be with the program, and what a great opportunity for you to build. Like, think about the experience you're bringing into next season. What a great opportunity to have there. So now let's talk about going into the playoffs and the championship game, right? So you've dominated opponents for 3 months, and you get into the playoffs. Now, normally things change in the playoffs. Everybody's good in the playoffs, but really not so much for you. First 3 games, you won by margins of 22 to 40 points. If I'm the coach, that scares the heck out of me, right? That's when a team gets to the point where you lose a game that you should win or could win. How did you counter that? Let's, again, coach's perspective first. How do you keep the guys focused when they're just dominating everybody?
Well, if you look back at the last 2 years, one of the things that I know our staff and I are most proud of is we have not had a letdown game. We have not had a game where we've played down to our competition or where we've taken our foot off the gas. We are very process oriented in our program. I am maniacal about keeping these guys focused on what's next. A lot of people are scared of high expectations. A lot of people are scared of the guy that I can't ever please him, and I would hope that they would say that that's not true, that I can be pleased. But I hope they think they have to work really, really hard to do that. And to these guys' credit, they've been the most consistent group I've ever been around of young people, because it's not hard to do it one time. It's really hard to do it consistently and to show up day after day after day. But the rap on us was we haven't been tested. This has kind of been a white-collar group. And I just tried to continue to remind these guys, like, we've got a lot of guys in our locker room that have gone through a lot of stuff off the court that nobody knows about, nobody needs to know about. But when that ball goes up, we get 32 minutes where they got to see us, they got to feel us, and you can't hide. And I'm just so proud that it never changed regardless of the opponent. It never changed. Like, our standard is their best, and I will remember that for a long time.
Now, that's the coach's perspective, right? Was there ever a time where you, relax, coach, we got this, and that sort of thing? Where were you guys' heads at? Seriously, though, how'd you stay focused?
I stayed focused by being, like Coach said, always consistent. Every time we go in the film room, it always on the board. 1-0, go 1-0 every time. That's it, and stay tuned.
And whenever we play a team on the board, we would have their record and rat poison, because we saw a lot of rankings with other teams ranked higher than us, and then we play them and it's a blowout game. So, like, rankings didn't mean anything, and you have some people who have the feeling of not wanting to practice whenever they come in, but just giving your best while you're there is the only thing that matters. So we just try to just focus on getting better every day and not just taking advantage of practice at all.
I think it was Michael Phelps who said, the most important thing he did was getting in the pool the days he didn't want to get in the pool, right? And I think a lot of people look, they're out playing basketball, they're having fun, and they don't recognize the hard work that goes into it, balancing school and all the things that go into it. So let's go to the championship game. I heard a really cool story. So apparently some of the coaching staff, I guess, has one state champion, and I think they won in May. So you wanted to replicate. Tell us a little bit about that. You know where I'm going with it. You wanted to replicate replicate
Yes.
what those guys had experienced.
So, I mean, and there's a lot of best parts about being the head coach at Morgan, but when you take over a program that has tradition like Morgan County boys basketball does, there are certain things that you get that you don't get in other places. And, our staff, every one of our staff are alumni, and every one of them have either been a part of a state championship as a player or as a coach. And so there are certain things that, as we got ready to plan our trip to Macon, that we knew we wanted to do. And so there are certain restaurants that all the state championship teams at Morgan have always eaten at when they go to Macon. There's certain things that we always do. And it was important to me to give back to those guys to honor our tradition, but then also to cement their legacy as well. And so we made sure that we covered all of that. There were things that were very uncomfortable for me in terms of our normal routine, but I felt like it was super important to honor those that came before us. And I think it helped make the experience really memorable for these guys.
And is that true, guys? What did you think of all that? Like, what did it mean to you guys?
So at practice, whenever we just lollygagging and stuff, coach would always stop practice and point up at the banners saying, like the coaches already did that, they already experienced it. We haven't won nothing because we're entitled to nothing. So every time, like, we would react the same, like, coach, he's on one today. But just seeing a banner up there, it means something. Because being in Macon, it brought the whole Morgan County community together. So it was just seeing a banner and seeing people who actually did it, it meant something.
Well, the coaches that we have now, I mean, I'm glad that they did come back because they left something that they messed up again already. Wait, sorry.
It's all right.
You're
Absolutely.
good, man. Well, so first of all, I'm just going to tell you, I love the fact that you used the word lollygag. That was fantastic. But I loved how you talked about cementing the community because, I got the benefit. That it was best day of my trolley career was getting to ride you guys out of town. And what I came away from that day was this is about more than basketball, right? And you guys have been together since the start, right? Only 3 on the team. Is that accurate? That have been together from the whole 4 years? You guys have been starters for the 4 years. Let's go around the horn, Coach. What do you really take away from this? Got about 2 minutes left. What do you really take away from this experience? What really matters?
This is what high school basketball should be about. We have practiced more basketball than is probably healthy for a human being. I know these two guys are tired. I'm tired, and I love this. But to be able to be a part of these guys' lives at such a transformational stage, to know that they came in as young boys and now they are young men ready to go out and attack the next thing, to know that I don't ever get to coach them in ball screens anymore or any of that, but I can't wait for those text messages, hey, I found the one. Hey, we're having our first child. Hey, I got that job. Hey, I got this. These two are stuck with me for life, and I'm just grateful for our community. But I'm also grateful for these players because we have pushed, but we also love big.
Give us your take on that, guys. That's a big statement right there, young men or young boys into young men. Give us your statement on that.
So Coach and I have experienced a lot of adversity, and at practice we used to bump heads. I have got kicked out of practice more than I actually been there. So then, I didn't realize until probably my junior year that he actually cared about me as a person, and it was more than basketball. And I didn't realize that the previous years. So then I embraced it and actually allowed him to actually coach me and not push him away and things like that. So it's important. Well, it's a blessing to have him in my life, and he has had a great impact on my life and helped me build character.
Coach, are those goosebumps I see on your?
They are.
Jacoby, real quick we got a couple seconds left. Give us a real quick on your take on it.
I mean, he a great person. I met him on the TV screen, so I didn't know who he was when he came down here, but as a man, he done grow me as a man. So
awesome. Well, Coach, great job. Boys, young men, great job.
Yes.
Congratulations. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show, Q92.3. Bob Furr filling in with the AA champion, Georgia State champion, Morgan County High School. Talk to you next time. Look at we're showing the rings, guys. Congratulations. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. Thanks for listening, Real Country.